My original concept for this video was walking through two worlds. I was going to take you up a hill through a very upscale, very well-to-do neighborhood, down the other side, across a valley and onto the slopes of another hill through a neighborhood at the other end of the socio-economic scale, one that is in the midst of an ongoing redevelopment project that has yet to begin construction. I wanted to show it to you and basically just record a bit of it before it completely disappears. Unfortunately, I encountered an obstacle that I wasn't willing to overcome. And I'll talk about that later in the video. But we did pass by that neighborhood and I was able to get a few shots of it from the outside. So there's that. And we ended on a lovely little stretch of the Jeongneung stream, the upper end of the Jeongneung stream before it runs underground. It's a stretch I didn't know was so nice until a week ago when I stumbled onto it for the first time. So instead of a themed walk through socioeconomic classes, this video will just serve as a nice little stroll through an interesting part of Seoul, the last walk of 2025 on this channel. Hello there, it's right around noon on a very overcast Sunday here in Seoul, just a few days after Christmas. We are in Seongbuk-dong. Seongbuk literally means north of the fortress or north of the walls. It's located on the northeast side of the old city walls. It's not exactly due north, right? It's more on the east side, but the wall would have run over there on the other side of these buildings here. Back in this direction, you've got Hansung University Station, and over there, Naksan, the hill where there's Naksan Park from the K-pop Demon Hunters movie, and the City Wall Trail runs along there alongside a restored section of the wall. There's, I think this section over here isn't restored, but further on up it is. The wall goes off in that way and up Bugaksan mountain over here. And Seongbuk-dong is in Seongbuk-gu, Seongbuk district. And right below the street here that we're on, the street name here is Seongbuk-ro, Seongbuk Street. And right below it is Seongbuk-chan. Seongbuk-chan. Seongbuk-chan comes out from under the street further up there by Hansung University Station. If you've seen my videos, you've seen me walk along it. This is a very interesting little area to walk through. And if you're in Korea on a visit, I think it's worth coming out here once for a couple of hours and wander around. You've got some historical sites, some cultural sites. There are some museums. Out here there's like a furniture museum, the Korean Furniture Museum. This private collection of antique furniture. And just beyond that, not far away from it, there is another museum, the Korean Stone Art Museum. They have an outdoor space where they display some old stone carvings. But I've been to neither museum, so I can't say anything about them except what I've read online. You know, I visit museums when I travel, but I very rarely visit museums here in Seoul, where I live. I need to rectify that. I need to get out and see some of these museums. One thing about Seongbuk-dong is you can find a lot of old hanoks like this one. You see those rooftops there? Those are hanok rooftops, and these have been obviously converted with these facades and these shops inside of them. But you go down through here and you can see more of the unconverted kind. These urban hanoks. This isn't the kind of traditional hanok that you find in Bukchon, for example. These are much more common, and you can find them all around the city, but there are several here. But despite the presence of the old hanoks, Seongbuk-dong is also a very upscale neighborhood. A lot of the properties here are quite expensive, and they have some very large, very spacious private residences. And here's one of the sites. I said there are a lot of cultural and historical sites. Poet Cho Ji-hoon's house site. He lived here for almost 30 years. His house was pulled down around 1998. You know, you look up here and you see these old buildings here and the old narrow alleyways. They are a remnant of past times. But if we go further up the street here, and even right here, these residences here, these low-rise villas, they're not going to be cheap. But if we go further up the street here, we will start to see some very large and spacious private residences. This area during the Joseon Dynasty was a popular hangout for scholars and upper-class folks. There were a few areas like that outside of the city walls. You can see these high walls with the gardens on the other side, these private residences. You're going to need a sizable amount of money if you want to buy one of these places. This area has become sort of a focal point for ambassador residences. There were 29 ambassador residences in 2007. There were 37 in 2012, and by 2018, there were 42. That's just from a cursory search. I don't know what the exact number is now. And because of that concentration of ambassador residences, you can see this area sometimes referenced as Daesagwanjo-chon. Daesagwan is embassy. Daesagwanjo is an ambassador's residence. Chon, at the end of that, is village. So Daesagwanjo-chon might translate as embassy residence village. You see this sign here points to Gilsang Temple. It was established in 1997. It's right up there, and the Furniture Museum and the Stone Art Museum are further up the road beyond that. And there's another temple here, Yukwasa. I don't know anything about this one. And I guess it's because of all those ambassador residences that there's a street in the area up at the top of the hill here called Daesagwanro, Embassy Street. There's also a Daesagwanro in Jeongneung-dong, and in Jeongneung-dong there are several embassies, actual embassies. Here there are more ambassador residences than embassies. There's only like a couple of embassies. This is very similar to what you see on the bottom slope of Namsan over in Jeongneung-dong and Itaewon. There are a lot of residences there like this near the Hyatt Hotel. And I think there are some ambassador residences there in that area, but also some conglomerate CEOs or executives have homes there. And the buildings there look very much like the buildings here. Except here, I feel like the properties are larger. Everything's more spread out. There, everything's more compact. I didn't bring you out here today to give you a tour of Seongbuk-dong, but I do want to give you a sense of this part of it specifically. I mean, it's not just this street. Houses like this go off in that direction too. There are a lot of high value properties around here. On the back end of our walk today, the latter half, we're going to walk through a neighborhood that is very, very different from this one. I have visited Seongbuk-dong many times over the years. I had a friend who lived here several years ago. My wife and I have come through here a couple of times. I've come through here on my walks, but I had never walked this street until 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the reason I came through here is because I was looking for a route to walk to Gukmin University. Just because. I mean, on my daily walks, I go all kinds of different directions. But walking toward the Gukmin University area, I was always going past Seongshin Women's University Station and up toward Jeongneung Station. And that's kind of a longer roundabout way to get to that area around Gukmin. Now, if you are wanting to walk to Gukmin University from around Hansung University Station, going this way through Seongbuk-dong isn't the way for you if you don't like hills. Going the long way that I just described is probably better. Look at that. More of these nice residences over there. There's a shortcut from here, actually. Down below us there's a street where we could turn right. Right now we're going around a loop, and we could have cut straight through the loop, but that is much steeper. The other thing is we have a sidewalk here, and we don't have a sidewalk on that shortcut. This, by the way, is Daesagwanro, Embassy Street. So going up this way and across that bridge right there, that takes you on to the Bugaksan Skyway, Bugak Mountain, the mountain road. And this street here, this is the shortcut I was talking about. It's less steep at this section. You can see just beyond the distant car there, it starts to slope down very steeply. So I think really you don't save any time coming up this way compared to the way we came up, even though it is shorter. That steepness of the hill slows you down. But our route lies beneath the bridge here. And we get over here with a nice little view that's not so nice today because of the haze. Now, what I don't like about this spot here, there's no crosswalk, and the sidewalk here ends. This is very much American style. Sidewalk ends with no crosswalk, and this is a busy little street here, as you can see. But now we've got a break. We can cut across. Oh, maybe not. All right. So when we get down to the bottom of the hill here, we'll be in a little valley. And on the other side of the valley is Gukmin University. And behind that is the Bukhan Mountain National Park. And we're going to head actually behind Gukmin University because there is a neighborhood there that is a stark contrast to the one we just walked through, to this whole area here. The place we're going to is an old Daodongne, a moon village. One of the areas that sprang up after the Korean War as displaced people set up unauthorized homes on hillsides, and others were displaced during Seoul's massive development in the 60s and 70s. And it is located just up this street right here. The back gate of Gukmin University is right there. This neighborhood we're in now is Jeongneung-dong, specifically one of the subdivided neighborhoods, Jeongneung-samdong. Sam is 3. We're in the northern part of Jeongneung-samdong. Jeongneung is a royal tomb in the area, which is why you see the name all over the place: Jeongneung-ro, Jeongneung-dong, Jeongneung-chun. But this specific part of Jeongneung-dong that we're visiting here, this is referred to as Jeongneung-gol. That's what this moon village is called. Gol is a native Korean word that means valley. So you see these homes here are quite old. This looks very unstable, so I don't want to go too far up here. Yeah, this place is falling apart.
And this is where I ran into trouble. At first, I thought this big yellow banner was just a larger version of the small stickers you see posted on the doors and windows of empty buildings and redevelopment zones prohibiting entry. But no, this is a very strongly worded warning against trespassing within the redevelopment zone, threatening up to 6 years in jail and up to a 10 million won fine.
Okay, so I'm not going to show you the Moon Village. There are some big scary banners set up by, I guess, the association that's managing the development. So yeah, I'm I'm not going to risk it. But yeah, this was a moon village. It is slated for redevelopment. The proposal for the redevelopment project was put forward in 2009, and I guess the association formed in 2012. And I don't know what all the issues were, but it took several years to get off the ground beyond that. And it was eventually POSCO ENC, I believe, that was selected to do the development. And relocation started in August of 2024 and should have completed in early 2025. But there is a protest group that has been organized opposed to the redevelopment project. And I believe there are still some holdouts who are still living in the area and refuse to move. It's one of those areas where they have a lot of elderly people who've been there for years and years. The development project wouldn't have happened if 70% or maybe 75%, whatever it is, of the property owners didn't vote for it to go forward. But there's always going to be that minority that didn't vote for it. And you can understand why they wouldn't want to move. So those issues, I guess, are holding up progress at the moment. Development was supposed to start in the latter half of 2025, but it never got off the ground. But what's interesting about it is this is not going to be a high-rise tower apartment development. They're going to be low-rise apartments, terraced apartments, with the intention of, fitting in with the landscape. That, I think, is an admirable approach. However, they're not going to be affordable. The people who live in the area now would never be able to afford the kind of low-rise apartments they're going to build here. And I would love it just once to see one of these redevelopment projects get the funding they need to build affordable housing. So we can't go into the area, but we can still look at it from a distance here. All of those buildings there on this slope are part of the redevelopment zone. And there's no banner hung here, but still, I don't want to risk it. You'll see this building, there's this sticker here. This is part of the redevelopment, but this beauty shop's still open. There was an author named Pak Kyongni who lived here. She's a rather famous author. She lived in Jeongneung-dong for 20 years or so between the 1960s and 1980s. And she wrote what's probably her most famous work while she worked on it while she was living here in Jeongneung-dong. She was already an established author before she moved in here, but it took her 25 years to finish this story. It's called Toji, which is translated in English as The Land or just Land. It's an epic story set in the late Joseon dynasty and the Japanese imperial era, the colonial era here in Korea. There's been a movie about it, TV show, even an opera. Yeah, she wrote that between 1969 and 1994 when it was finally published. And for most of that time, she was here in Jeongneung-dong. This here is the Jeongneung-chun, the Jeongneung stream. The upper part of the Jeongneung stream. What I really find interesting about this section of Jeongneung stream is how close everything is to the stream. These buildings are right up next to the stream. That's not a very common sight here in the city. In the city, the streams are usually, deeper down below the street level than this is here. And the buildings don't come right up to it. But even up ahead here, you got this office building, or commercial building rather, whatever it is, next to the stream. And I believe there's a fitness center, a gym inside on the bottom floor there. They've got running machines along the window. And you can just step up this little small staircase up to the street to a cafe. I love this. Further down, the stream goes under the street, the Jeongneung Street, Jeongneung-dong, and eventually comes out again near Seongbuk-dong. And there's a distinct separation between the stream and the buildings around you. I walked through there in a video a few weeks back. Gosh, I love this. This just has such a different feel. You still feel like you're walking through the city and not, apart from it. I love seeing all this ice on the water. So right there up ahead, that is where it goes underground. And that is Jeongneung-dong right there above it. Jeongneung Street. And then you have this little stream here. I'm not sure what this is. I don't see any signs, and I don't think the name is on the map. Well, this walk did not go as planned. I really wanted to show you the Moon Village, but at least we get to see some doggies roaming around the stream here. This is my last walk on the channel for 2025. The next video should be a midnight walk on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is just a few days away, and I'm looking forward to that walk. And sometime in the very near future, I'm going to get out to Dongducheon and finish up that little mini series I started with the walk from Seoul to Uijeongbu, and then the other video from Uijeongbu to Dongducheon. And this time I'll get you from Dongducheon to our final destination. Thank you for coming along with me today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.